Hello and welcome to Movie Monday. I'm your host, Waze Universe, and today is Justice Never Dies Day. And as you'd have tuned from the title, we're going to be taking a look at the basically maximum of the series, four movies all in one, that all have to do with a similar thing of a superhero coming back to life. And as you can see, we have pretty much a good slum to get through and I will try to get through these as quickly as possible, but this might be one of the longest videos that I have done. And as per the normal, before we continue, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the recent views on my videos. I'm doing a lot of hard work into this as it is, and just seeing you guys enjoying these is pretty much what gives me the more inspiration to keep going and doing more of these reviews. So enough with that, and let's get into the first feature of the day. Was Robocop. Robocop tells the story of one Alex Murphy, played 2 out of 3 times by Peter Weller, who joined the Detroit task force of the police station in order to stop crime in New Detroit. He is assigned a partner, Ann Lewis, played by Nancy Allen in all 3 films, who ends up showing Murphy the ropes and basically becomes his partner throughout the entire series. Things go horribly wrong when they're called on duty to get a gang of bank robbers. When they suddenly that they know that the bank robbery went to crap, they decide to try and stop them. Little do they know, it won't go well. Murphy ends up breaking into the scene and meeting Corin Spottiker and his entire gang. And this is probably where we get the most infamous moment from the movie, the gun down of Alex Murphy. This means that Alex Murphy ends up becoming probably the most infamous scene behind this movie, Rob Bottin's well-created Robocop and well-remembered. And then after this, Robocop becomes your run-of-the-mill action-adventure sci-fi movie. If you've never seen Robocop before, you can pretty much know what to expect with this movie. It's a sci-fi action movie that basically inspired some of the other sci-fi films, such as one that comes to mind, The Terminator. And this film does it well, pretty damn good. While this movie is not exactly what I would call perfect, it does have some fatal flaws, but that doesn't mean that this movie is not good. Hell, it's still one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's still damn good and still damn quotable. And hell, it even measures up to basically something that was well known at the time, corruption in the police force, which a lot of movies after this series have done, and including Robocop becoming a basically well-known comic book superhero as well, worked on by Frank Miller, who we also will talk about on this list too. If you haven't seen Robocop and you're definitely interested, I highly recommend it. It's a great action film with some great sci-fi elements thrown into it, and the creation of probably one of sci-fi film's most famous superhero. What can really be said about this awesome film about a superhero being brought back to life to dish out justice upon drug dealers instead? But basically, I'd buy that for $1. Now the next film on the list is a well-known dark graphic novel style dark superhero style film, and that is Brandon Lee's The Crow. So just a little bit of warning that you might want to skip over this portion of the review because this is going to go into some pretty dark territories, especially talking about the incident that took Brandon Lee's life. So if you want to, I'd recommend skipping over it if you don't care about that, and if you just want to enjoy the review or just hear me talking about it, just to warn you that there is going to be some not so okay stuff I'm going to be talking about in this portion of the review. But if you don't care about that, then sit back, relax, and enjoy me talking about The Crow. The Crow, for the most part, is based on the graphic novel series by the one and only James O'Barr that brought it to life. But this movie is exactly what brought the character to become even more famous in cinema than he is in comic books. Eric Draven and his wife, or fiancée, Shelley Webster, are killed in a traumatic accident, and including taking Shelley Webster's life, which she hanged on for 30 hours in the emergency clinic before tragically losing her life, and her boyfriend fell out of a 6-story window. Hereafter, due to the power of the raven, or the crow, I'm sorry, Eric is resurrected to do vengeance upon those as the spirit known only as the crow. The Crow is a dark, action, graphic novel-styled movie that basically inspired other films such as Sin City and The Dark Knight, and it's not hard to see why because this film is fucking fantastic. And as you'd expect, Eric does get his revenge upon those who wronged him and those who raped his wife Shelley. Yeah, no spoilers or anything, she's gained raped by them, and Eric does vengeance upon those who wronged him in life. He also has a partner, technically, named Officer Albert, played by the one and only Ernie Hudson. Yeah, Ernie Hudson is in this, and basically he adds some levity to the darkness aspect of the film, but he also helps out Eric and understands his problem and tries to help him out as best as he can. Let it be known, this film is not for everybody. It is very dark. There are scenes of of a young woman getting her eyes cut out, there's an eye being set on fire, there's lots of blood and gore, etc., etc. But the thing that makes The Crow so fantastic is probably the damn good story, and including Brandon Lee as Eric Draven himself. Sadly and tragically, if you know this movie, you know about the famous prop gun incident that took Brandon's life. It was an unforeseen mistake and an unforeseen circumstance, and tragically is what killed him, and maybe what makes this movie so much more popular. Aside from, the tragic loss of Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son in case you're wondering, it is still a damn good story about vengeance begun and seeking upon those in the wrong place, but just at the right times. This is one of my, if not my favorite superhero film of all time, and it's not difficult to see why. It is a great story, a great actor in Brandon Lee, and such great performances all the way around. And if you want to see this film out of respect for Brandon Lee, I'd highly recommend it. Just watch this one and not, the sequels because they're not as good. And also, yes, I will say, long live respect to Brandon Lee for this review. I have nothing against the guy. What happened to him was tragic as all hell, and I wish the best for his fans and also his sister and his mother who are still alive to this day. Alright, on to the next movie to review. Alright, so the next film on this list is not as dark as Robocop or The Crow, where someone gets brutally killed and then brought back to life. One through the magic of a bird and one through the science of the future. This time we're getting into some mythic and mythology and shit. Cause this is Elektra, which is a sequel to Daredevil, which I have already talked about, but I'm not going to review Daredevil, at least at this point not yet. But I still am going to talk about Elektra, and if you know about this movie, you should know about why this film is kind of infamous for taking one of Frank Miller's greatest comic books and transforming it into a movie. See, I told you that we're not done with Frank Miller and talking about him, and we're still not done talking about him because the last feature on this for me has to do with Frank Miller. So, let's dive into the mythology, and the beautiful of Elektra. Elektra starred world-renowned actress Jennifer Gardner back in her role, resurrected after Bullseye put a sigh right through her and killed her in front of Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. So this film is not about her getting vengeance. Well, it kind of is, but there's more to it. Elektra was resurrected through magic to a blind man known only as Styx, who trained both her and Daredevil, and was the one that brought Elektra back to life, in case you were wondering. He trained Elektra, but kicked her out from his dojo once he learned that she will not train in the way that she should, seeing vengeance as the way of possibilities instead of anything else. So Elektra in this scenario is portrayed with OCD. Yeah, I'm being serious about that, but she's also an assassin, because she was one to begin with in the first place, as she's going after a family of two, a young girl and her father. And if you called it, yes, Elektra is supposed to assassinate the father and the girl, but she can't bring herself to do so because of the infamous league known only as the Hand. The Hand is in the arms of Kurigi, a Japanese swordsman, and his father, Master Roshi. No, not that one. Played by Terry Tagawa. And to be honest, Terry Tagawa should have been more in this film than he really is, because he is so fantastic in this film. But then again, he's such a fantastic actor anyway, so bye-bye. The hand consists of mystical and magical users, not only Kajiri himself, that basically all have different perks, such as super strength, the ability to use tattoos and make them turn into real life, and the ability of poison. And Kajiri can just move super fast sonic speed. Why is Elektra doing this, I can hear people ask? Well, because when she was a little girl, she saw her mother assassinated by someone. And if you know what I already told you, then you already know who assassinated her mother, and it's no surprise. And that's why she's helping out the father and daughter team. Elektra is technically your run-of-the-mill style movie. It knows what it is, and it doesn't get too far into the certain territory that it's not supposed to touch. But there are some moments that do seem rather questionable, and there are some moments that are just not really good. Don't get me wrong, it's still a damn good and still damn impressive movie with a great story and a great director behind it, and Jennifer Gardner is always a pleasure to watch on screen. But there are just some moments that do seem rather questionable, including some of the magic users, which I believe that they basically pulled out of their ass, because why would Elektra be assumed with magic when she is not? But anyways, it's still a pretty damn good, decent movie. It's just rather sad to know that this is based on one of Frank Miller's most popular books at the time and one of his most popular characters, played by Jennifer Gardner, who is also kind of used as a sex material here. You look at the red jumpsuit and tell me if she is not going to be used as a little bit of sex symbolism here. But however, it's still in martial arts great with some mystical elements, and basically martial arts fantasies are kind of cool. And also, I like martial arts films. So all things considered, if you're looking for a different superhero movie to watch and you want to get your jollies off until the next Marvel movie, which will be the next Black Panther movie, I recommend watching Elektra. You might have some fun with it. I say might, just be sure that you watch Daredevil first, otherwise you might be a little bit confused on who Elektra is. Now, this next film is technically what I would call a guilty pleasure film in my opinion, because I like it, and I just can't find out why I just like it. I guess it just gives in into some of my guilty pleasures. Directed and written by Frank Miller, this is not one of his best works, it's one of his worst works, if you ask any film critic or superhero fan. But I guess it's just because it gives into my 13-year-old tendencies of liking basically sexy looking women that this is technically probably what has me interested in it, and also because it uses some of my basically favorite actresses too. But aside from Samuel L. Jackson and Gabriel Macht, this film is not as good as you think because neither one of them do this film justice. It's mostly the ladies, which should be no surprise because I told you that's basically a femme fatale movie. And that is The Spirit, based on a comic book character created by Will Eisner, and if you know the Eisner Award, it's made after this guy. So after a favorite character, does Frank Miller, a guy that looks up to him, does him justice? How about a big fat no as we take a look at The Spirit? This movie has the balls and audacity to star Samuel Jackson and Gabriel Macht. Gabriel Macht played a man named Danny Colt who ends up becoming a spirit of justice and vengeance known only as the masked superhero The Spirit. How he came back to life is basically a very good question because the film never explains it. Danny not only had to deal with the main villain of this movie, but he also had trouble dealing with an assassin ex-girlfriend known only as Sarah, played by Eva Mendes, and there's a good reason why. Also had to deal with the motherfucker himself, Samuel L. fucking Jackson as the octopus. Yeah, he really shouldn't be, truthfully. While Samuel Jackson is the man, he should not be having this role. Also, I just have to guess that it's because of this spirit woman that Danny came to life, question mark? She shows up every now and again in the film, but I don't think that she truthfully belongs in it. I don't know if it's like Dead Man, where he's raided by Ramakrishna, or just some random spirit woman, but yeah, just get used to seeing her pop up if you check out this film. So not only can Danny Colt not die, or the spirit, he also has another thing going for him, for he is quite the ladies' man. Not only because, when he was younger, he fell for the woman known only as Sarah, played by Eva Mendes, and seriously, what man wouldn't fall for her? He also had women dropping their panties for him, technically. See, told you he gets all the pussy. Look at the cat. Even the cat wants him too. But no, I'm serious. Every woman basically wants him. You mentioned that not only does the octopus have three stupid henchmen, but he also has a henchwoman played by the Ghost in the Shell herself, Scarlett Johansson. No, I'm serious. She's in this film too. But as I said earlier, Danny Cold is a ladies' man, as he flirts with every woman and every woman fawns over him. What is it about the mask that makes women so attractive? With Batman, it's the leather. What is it with Danny?
Stay quiet. Yeah, so long as things stay quiet. Sure. Like every crook in Central City goes on sabbatical.
Well, maybe if I break the rules.
I see. He gets his moves from the Leonardo DiCaprio School of Romance. Just don't make him show off his dance moves, because the man can dance better than Patrick Swayze in Dirty Dancing. Even kinda gets a sexy police officer partner who wears this outfit. And yes, in case you're wondering, she acts dumb. I don't know if that's intentional or that's just because for Frank Miller, he's writing with only one hand. Put that joke together, if you will. You might be wondering, why did they put Eva Mendes in this movie? If my earlier joke didn't get you before, maybe what she does next will.
A perfect ass.
Well, you didn't give me any choice.
And that should explain everything. But as for the rest of the movie, it seems kind of stupid, but it's the fun kind of stupid, truthfully. The octopus wants something that nobody else has. It's basically a thing of God, so he goes after it, and Danny Cole has to stop him. So while the film is stupidly goofy, it's still kind of fun for what it's worth. And no, I don't know why Samuel L. Jackson is a Nazi in this movie. It's because the octopus was and blah blah blah. But why do I like it? I think it's just because it's so stupid, it just makes me laugh and crack up all the time that I just find it hilarious. Aside from fitting into my 13-year-old self, thank you 13-year-old self that still lives inside me, the Spirit is still what I would call a stupid fun superhero movie, sort of like, for example, Judge Dredd and even sometimes Batman and Robin. The film knows what it's getting itself into, and it basically takes you along for the ride. I think the only thing that makes it worse is that this is Frank Miller's tribute to his teacher slash best friend. And it basically is a very bad tribute to a good friend of yours, Frankie. If you want to have fun with like some friends or just your partner and have like a dumb movie night, this should be the movie for you. It's stupid, it's funny, and in some moments it's hilarious. And also every woman is put in this for men to goggle at. Thanks a lot for that, Frankie. If it makes anybody feel better, there is a shower scene in it that Eva Mendes does, and she comes out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel. While you're going to look that up, I just have to point this out, they don't show anything. So good luck getting your jollies off on that, gentlemen. So anyways, this was Justice Never Dies Day, and let's basically review all these films individually. Robocop is a dear God classic and should be viewed as such. It's a perfect film, while of course having some flaws, but if you look past the flaws, it is a very perfect film, and the outfit, well, Robocop designed by Rob Bottin, is a classic and can not only be identified as such. So, highly recommended for me to you. The Crow, being that it's one of my favorite movies of all time, it's an instant recommendation. While it is sadly the last film that Brandon Lee had worked on, it is something that should be viewed as a tribute to him. And I have watched this recently, and I remembered why I love it so much. Again, damn good story with a great director and great talents outside of Brandon Lee and Ernie Hudson in this film. Everybody gives their best performances that they can, and it's just a beautiful piece of classic. I would not ever say that it's a bad film, and highly recommended, but only to those that like dark superhero movies like myself. Elektra can be viewed as both ways. You're either going to like it or you're going to hate it, and for me personally, I love this film. Again, maybe it's because it plays into mythology, and I do am a fan of mythology and magic. This is a pretty damn good film, and Jennifer Gardner is a great actress all the way around. I would have loved if they also went back to Daredevil for a few scenes in this, or even have Ben Affleck make a cameo, but outside of from that, Elektra is a damn good movie that takes one of Frank Miller's greatest characters and one of his greatest creations and does her well justice by re by giving her new life and breathing some new air into her. And well, while some cases of the movie aren't as good, it still holds up for me to this day. The Spirit, again, is going to be one of those you're going to love it or hate it film. And for me, personally, I kind of love it for how stupid it is. It's just funny to me that this is very basically Frank Miller's tribute to his friend. And he did a very, very piss ass job for it. But because it gets into 13-year-old me's knowledge of having sexy women in it, curse the 13-year-old in me. This film basically just gives into all my tendencies and being that it's a stupid, fun superhero movie that basically plays upon everybody's eye goggling. And that's because of Frank Miller, the guy who still thinks that he's a 13-year-old because he writes with only one hand. You can tell what he's doing with the other one. But again, it's just kind of also stupid that Scarlett Johansson, Samuel Jackson, and Eva Mendes is in this, and Gabriel Mark, as far as I know, never went to work on any other film in the industry, so kind of sad that he gets the shaft, while basically Samuel Jackson gets to become Shaft. Seriously, look it up. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out these movies if you want to. They're all recommended by me. Next week, though, as a lead up to Halloween, it's going to be Fearsome Females Day. And oh me, oh my. Two of them are horror films to get us into Halloween, but one is an autobiography. And yet, it's pretty fucking terrifying, truthfully, because it even scared me for just watching it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you next time on Multi-Movie Monday, because remember, plenty of Mondays, plenty of movies, and until next time.